Hey cats, what's happening? I think I told you a while back that I had some scuff marks on my tank here. And I was trying to figure out how that happened. And I mean, you know, I ride this bike practically every day, every other day. And there's nothing that I would ever do that would scratch my gas tank. You know, unless I was sleepwalking or something. Yeah, I thought, well, how in the world did my gas tank get all scratched up right there? That's just crazy. How does that even happen? But I took some rubbing compound to it today, and I got the worst of it out, but it still needs a lot more work. And I don't know, I may have to have a professional buff that out to get it back to looking good again. But I don't know, probably a little more elbow grease and I can probably get it, get those scratches out of there. Now, it's my guess, because of the time frame, that it may have happened while I was at the county fair. Because a buddy of mine and I, we rode to the fair a few weeks back, and we parked with a bunch of other motorcycles there. So, I mean, it wasn't like we were out in the middle of a parking lot somewhere. And I didn't notice it when I came out of the fair, but after I got home, that's when I noticed it. So here's what I'm suspecting. That somebody sat on my bike. And whoever it was I don't know, I'm just assuming, it's just an assumption, that when they went to get off the bike, they had no clue what they were doing. They probably swung their leg over this way and their foot hit the gas tank and scraped on the top of the gas tank, which would be something that a novice would do, somebody that was clueless about getting on and off a bike. And their foot probably scraped the tank and put the abrasion on there. My bike's always clean. It's never dirty or I keep it washed. I keep it polished up. And even if, there was dirt or dust on the tank, you'd really have to put your force in there to scratch into the paint. I mean, even if you took a towel and just kind of went like that, most of the dirt or dust would come right off without damaging the finish. But this was definitely damaged. So it's my guess that somebody was on my bike and tried to dismount by swinging their leg over the top of the gas tank. It could have been a child too. I mean, kids, they don't have a clue. They could have just, never thinking twice about it, climbed on the bike and climbed off and took off and never even realized what they did. So, yeah, I mean, one of my rules of thumb is, number one, you never let anybody ride your motorcycle or drive it, other than yourself. And there's a reason for that. Everybody's bike is different. The clutch release can be a little different on every bike. The throttle response can be different. Some of the controls can even be different. The braking can be different compared to what you're used to. I mean, one bike, the brakes may be very touchy. It'll throw you over the handlebars, where another one, you really got to ride on the brakes to get it to slow down. They're all different. So it's taking a risk to let somebody else take your bike out that's not really ridden it before, and they have no experience about how your bike is and how it performs. I mean, I've had situations in the past, not with my Harley, but I had a dirt bike. It was a Yamaha motocross, a 250 dirt bike. And that thing had so much torque and power that you could pull the front wheel up in every gear. And if you weren't, you know, if you didn't lean forward on the handlebar, it had a big knobby tire on the back that had a pretty good grip. And at least 2 people that rode it that told me, oh yeah, we know how to ride a motorcycle, yeah, we know what we're doing, came pushing it back. And the one guy had ripped the back fender right off of it because he went over backwards with it. And he go, oh man, that thing's got a lot of power. Oh, I thought you said you were familiar with riding a motocross bike. Apparently not. So, yeah, you don't ever let anybody ride your bike. Now, I have had people say, can I sit on your bike and get a picture? You know, can I get a picture of me sitting on your bike? And I've said, you know, okay, just, you know, be careful when you get on, and I'll show them how to swing their leg over the back. I mean, when I get on, my leg never goes over the front. You know, my leg always swings over the back like this. And that way, you're not going to scratch anything up back here if your foot accidentally hits it. I mean, I see a little scuff right there where my foot probably hit the saddlebag, but that'll wash out. It's just a little bit of dirt on there. But I would never swing my foot over the front of the gas tank. That's just ridiculous to even think about doing. So, yeah, if you do let people sit on your bike, which is rare, but, you know, it has happened. Sometimes women will want, can I sit on your bike and get my picture taken? And, you know, I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Just be careful, you know, when you get on and off of there. When I do park my scooter, I'm usually kind of thinking ahead, like where I'm going to park it, how I'm going to park it. If I'm pulling up to a curb or something, I always back it in. You know, back it up to the curb. You never pull straight forward in somewhere. And you know, the worst thing I've seen people do is they pull into a parking spot and they pull straight ahead downhill. So now they're stuck. The only way out of there, you can't go forward because there's a curb there. You have to back up. You have to push with your feet, and you're pushing uphill, and you're pushing an 800-pound bike. So how does that work? And usually they find themselves in somewhat of a pickle, you know, trying to get out of there. So common sense says, no matter where you are, you back in. And that way you can just pull straight out, whether you're aiming uphill, downhill, whatever the case. Make it easy on yourself, you know. The other thing, if I'm parking in a public parking spot, you know, space, I try to park right in the middle of the space. And I don't come all the way to the back of the space either. If the other vehicles are beside me, I try to pull up, you know, almost just a little bit behind the front of the vehicle, so that somebody coming in doesn't swing in thinking that's an empty parking space and hit my bike. I mean, you know, I'm always thinking of these scenarios that I don't want to see happen, which I'm sure have happened before, but I don't want them to happen to my bike. I like to keep it in good shape. So yeah, my rule of thumb is always never let anybody ride my bike. Number 1. And number 2, don't touch my bike. You know, look but don't touch. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. You know, you got a lot of time and money put into your bike, and you don't want somebody messing it up. And people are clueless, you know. They don't have a clue of what you put into that. To them, it's just a motorcycle. Let's go sit on it. It's not a carnival ride, you know. Speaking of rides, you notice I don't have a back seat here. I do have a back seat, and it comes on and off pretty easy. In fact, I got it right over here. I keep it in the top of my toolbox. As you can see, it's a little dust on it because I haven't used it in quite some time. But it goes on and off the bike easy enough. I took it off because in my younger years, I was getting a lot of requests. People wanted me to give them rides. And every time I went to the biker bar, some woman up there was, "Can you give me a ride on your bike?" And I did a couple times, but I frankly, I just got tired of it. And so I took the seat off, and so that was my excuse. I'd say, "I don't have a seat on the back of my bike, so no, I don't give rides." And that was the end of the story. But when V came along, you know, she said, "Can I ride on your bike?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a back seat. I took the seat off. I don't give rides." And she said, "That's all right, I'll ride on the fender." And she did. She sat right on that leather strap there, which, you know, that's a hard seat, but she rode there. She's hardcore. I mean, she was eager to go riding with me, and she didn't care if she had to sit on the fender or not. And I gave her a lot of respect for that, but I always said, "Hey, I can put a seat on there for you. You don't have to ride on the fender." So after a while, I had a little, like a pillion seat, which is a very small, narrow seat that I put on there. And she didn't like that at all. She said, no, I don't like that. You take that off of there." So I took that off of there. She rode on the fender some more. I had another thinner seat, you know, that kind of was a thin profile that I fit on there. And she didn't like that either. She was a tall girl. And so, and you'll always see that the passenger seat is higher than the saddle of the driver's seat. So it put her, you know, above my head. And she didn't like that. She wanted to be kind of behind me, not way up above me. So I think that was part of her preference for not wanting a seat on the bike. Because if you look at my passenger seat, it's pretty thick. And actually, the original seat was a lot thicker, I think, because I had this one reupholstered, and I had them put a gel pad in there. And because I took probably an inch off of that and made it, you know, thinner, and put the gel pad in there, then I put that on the bike, and she was content with that. So during the last years of her life, she actually rode with a seat. And had a little more comfort. I spent a good day and a half stacking wood on the front porch, and I got if you measure it here, it's actually a full cord of wood. That's what I had paid for, 1 cord of wood. So I got that, and then look at all this. This was extra on top. So I got probably a third more than what I paid for. I paid for a cord of wood, and I got a cord up there, and then I got all this extra too. What am I going to do with this? I don't know. I don't want to put any more weight on my porch. Some of this I'll take camping with me, because I got some more camping coming up. The rest I might stack behind the garage there, or maybe I can find a place for it. I don't know. Time will tell. Boy, we're really getting into a drought situation in Ohio, and I'm sure different places around the country, but we just haven't had any rain. It's about mid-September, and already a lot of the trees are dropping their leaves. I mean, look at this poplar here. It's dropped so many leaves. There's just a big pile of them there on the ground. I'll have to take my tractor out and grind those up. But the trees are showing stress. You know, they're not getting enough water, so they're shedding a lot of their leaves, And like this one, it looks like it's lost half of its leaves already. And the leaves that are up there are kind of pale looking and look like they're wanting some water. Good grief, look at what these skunks have done here. Digging up my yard at night. I mean, the whole yard here is dug up. I'll get that out here though. The pond being my water source, you know, I do have some concern about that, but if you'll look around the edges, I think this is kind of normal for how far my water's down. Usually it's clear up here along the edge of the grass, so it's dropped, I don't know, maybe 10-12 inches over the course of the summer. So I still got plenty of water in here, but if this drought were to continue, you know, the lower the water goes, the less surface area and the faster it goes down. And you don't want that to happen either. There was one year, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, that I had to have water hauled into my pond. I had this big tanker truck come in, back up, and he ran a hose out and he dumped thousands of gallons. I think he dumped about 20,000 gallons of water in here, and it brought the level up considerably. But I don't want to have to pay for water unless it's something that I absolutely have to do. You know, even if I was to bring the tractor out and mow grass today, it would be a dust storm. I'd be sneezing, and because all of this where the skunks have dug up, it's just going to make a huge cloud of dust. Look at that mess. The critters, you know. You gotta love nature, but the wildlife can be so destructive. And you know, you either gotta roll with it or take drastic measures, and I don't like to take drastic measures. You know, I mean, I want to live together with nature. I don't want to have to fight all the time either, but boy, it gets frustrating. You know, in other news, I don't know if I ever told you guys, but there's this place, I don't know, about 20 miles from here. It's called Stewarts Caring Place. It's a cancer wellness center. Now, it's not a hospital or a clinic or anything like that, but it's a facility that was put together on a donation, I guess. Thomas and Lisa Mandel Cancer Wellness Center. And they have all kinds of things that they offer there for anybody that has dealt with cancer in any degree, shape, or form. So, I mean, they have a whole array of things, and I was just looking at the calendar, but I've been going there. Now, I first learned out about the place back when my daughter's husband had cancer. And then when I found out that Val had cancer, we went there. For instance, they have a wig shop there with hundreds of wigs that they give free to cancer patients. So if you've been through chemotherapy and you lost your hair, you can go there and make an appointment, and you can try on different wigs, and if you find one you like, you can take it. I think they have a massage clinic there. They have all kinds of different programs that go on during the week. They have different holiday parties. But anyway, they have a grief support group. So if you've lost someone through cancer, you can go to this grief support group. And I've been going there for probably at least a year. that I've been going to this grief support. And it was helpful because, I mean, you go there and there might be a half dozen, there might be a dozen people there. It varies every month that you get. They have it once a month, and it varies every time you go. But when you go there, you're listening to people that have gone through the exact same thing that you have, and it's kind of redeeming in a way. It helps you to understand that you're not the only one going through, what you're suffering, the grief. So over the year that I've been going, there's kind of been a core group of people that go there, mostly women, which I can appreciate because I don't have a woman in my life right now. And after the group, every month, we would go out to dinner somewhere. We go Mexican, or we go to Cracker Barrel or something like that. So it's kind of nice to be able to hang out with some women and have a nice meal after the support group. But I think this last month is the last time I'm going to go. I'm not sure that it's benefiting me anymore. I mean, I've been able to share my story with others to try to help them understand how grief works and things you can do to help, improve your life when you're suffering from grief. So, but I think my time is pretty much over there. The coordinator, or the guy that kind of leads the group, I wasn't really in tune with his methods either. He started doing some kind of odd things, which I didn't really like a whole lot. He'd have everybody stand up and hold hands in a circle, and then he'd have you chant your lost loved one's name. And I thought, that's kind of creepy. I mean, that's almost like having a seance, like trying to call the dead back or something. And that really disturbed me, and I let them know, that, hey, this isn't something that I'm comfortable with. And if I'm going to this group for support, this isn't supporting me. This is like doing the opposite. So that and a few other things, and I thought, you know what? Okay, it served its purpose, so I'm not going anymore to that grief support. They also have support groups for, lung cancer patients or different things, but the grief support group was the one that I was attending, and that's the one that I'm going to kind of bail on now. So sorry to the ladies that I've been going there and meeting every month, but I'm breaking up. It's done. It's a done deal. And I think I'm at the point now where I really don't need that support group. Not that I've stopped grieving, because I don't think you'll ever stop grieving. But, I've come a long way. I've come a long way anyway. Well, cats, it's a beautiful day. It's a warm one. But I think once I get out and get my knees in the breeze, it should be comfortable. Usually when you get a little wind blowing on you, it's not bad. It's just if you get in traffic and you have to stop, that's when it gets real hot. You get the engine heat coming up, and you just start roasting. It's like, come on, light, turn. Let me get moving here. I'm going to get my gear on, saddle up, and get out of here for a good part of the day and just enjoy my time while I can, as long as the weather holds out. There's no rain in the forecast anytime soon, so take advantage of it while you can, make the best out of it. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my video, hit me with a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Stay tuned into my channel, and I'll keep you entertained with a little bit of everything. You know that. Till next time, cats, you know what I say. Ride hard and die free.